Production support for award-winning News 6 has come from Whirlpool Corporation's Finland Division, working to make your life a little easier. Additional support has come from the Northwest Ohio Educational Technology Foundation and from this public television station.
Hi, I'm Mark Carney.
Hi, I'm Stacy Fozzie.
Hi, I'm Brian Plummer.
And we're from Central Middle School in Napoleon, Ohio.
Today on News 6, we'll be visiting a former football coach who now carves wooden ducks.
And we'll meet a furry little friend.
And we'll talk with a husband and wife who turned a hobby into a full-time business.
Hi, and welcome to News 6. I'm Jennifer Snyder from Central Middle School in Napoleon, Ohio. Here with our first story is Matt Safzek.
Working with your hands can be a creative and enjoyable pastime. We recently talked with a man who showed us how he uses his hands to carve wooden ducks.
What does a retired high school football coach who has won 208 games, 18 league championships, and who has had 7 unbeaten seasons do when he retires? He starts a new hobby, wood duck carving. Mr. Charles Buckingham has been carving ducks for over 2 years now and has made over 70 items. Mr. Buckingham, what is it about duck carving that you find so interesting?
I find it interesting that you can create your own type of duck, your own type of style, and every time you do another duck, you think of another idea that you can add to it. As you can see from the line of ducks here, you go from one thing to the other.
What is the difference between a professional duckman and an amateur duckman?
A lot of difference. I'm an amateur. I've only been doing this for about a year now, and a professional duck man would take and do a lot more detail work than I'm doing.
How much time do you spend a week on carving?
It depends on how I feel. If I feel like going down and carving for an hour or wood burn for an hour or so, I might go down. I don't usually stay over in the shop over an hour.
Could you take us down to your shop and show us the different steps
of carving? Sure, come on along. I start out with a piece of basswood, which is found here in Henry County. It's not kind of rare, but it's a very light wood, very good woodworking. It's not one of the best woods most carvers use to carve ducks out of. We take this piece and square it off and set it up as such, and then I'll draw in the side view of the duck, put it on a bandsaw, and cut it out. And when we get done with the side view and the top view, then this is the same piece of wood that same type of wood right here, and we do the head and the body. Then the next step is to move on and to cut off the corners, the sharp corners, and rough it out. And again, we got 2 separate pieces here. You can make one-piece duck, but I think most carvers do use 2 pieces. Then we sand around down and work on it, and there's a hole there, and I got that patched, and then I'll draw my design to do the wood burning if I'm going to wood burn. Some of the hardwoods like walnut and oak and maple I do natural, but this one I'm going to wood burn and color and make a mallard out of, and you can see my work here. The next step is doing the wood burning, and this particular duck I'm in the middle of working on. It's made out of maple. It's very hard, so it's hard to wood burn, and I don't know where I'm going to go from here. The coloring, you can use regular paints, or I got polyurethane on here with some food coloring mixed in with it. Here's another example of wood burning of the bass type wood. And you work down there, and then you can stain it and design it and color the edges of the feathers and make it as real life as you can.
Today's show is being produced by a special class taught by Mrs. Catherine Snyder at Central Middle School. Napoleon is located about 10 miles northeast of Defiance. The city was founded in 1834 and has a current population of about 8,000.
One of our school's science teachers picked a different animal for a pet. He has a tarantula. We stopped by his classroom recently to learn more about this unusual pet.
Mr. Ryman, I know you have other kinds of ordinary pets, like fish and cats, but what made you want a tarantula?
Well, Megan, there were two reasons for wanting the tarantula. Number one, I got her free, so I thought that was a good deal, and I couldn't pass that up. And secondly, tarantulas are usually an interesting thing. Everybody looks at them, and they're kind of scared by them, so I thought it would be an interesting thing to have in the classroom.
Where did you get your tarantula?
I got her from a scientific supply company, and they sell all kinds of living animals and preserved animals, and they sent her to me in the mail. She was packed in a little tiny plastic container, and that was inside a great big styrofoam, like a food cooler, filled with styrofoam particles, and they shipped her through the mail like that, and she came in one day, so it was, rushed her through so she didn't freeze in the mail.
Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, most people think tarantulas are very, very poisonous, and they're really not that bad that they would kill a human being. They do have big fangs, and they use this to eat their prey, and they could give you a nasty bite with those fangs, so that's why we have to be careful when we handle her. But she probably wouldn't kill you with her poison, but she kills the insects that she eats that way. And she does eat insects. She traps them, not in a web, but just catches them and eats them that way. And they're from the desert southwest, where it's usually pretty warm. So that's their native territory, and that's where this scientific company gets them. And it's really kind of hard to tell whether they're a male or female, and they can live to be, females can live about 20 years, males only about 8 usually.
How does your family like having the pet tarantula?
My family's not very fond of her. They hate her, to tell you the truth, and that's why she's here at school. They don't like me to have her at home.
Thank you for being here with us today, Mr. Raymond.
A hobby is something a person usually does to fill his spare time. We met two people who enjoyed their hobby so much they turned it into a full-time business.
Mr. Johnson, I know woodworking used to be a hobby for you, but what made you decide to turn it into a business?
While working at Genoa High School, I also worked road construction in the summer, and after about 9 summers, I finally lost that job, and to pick up the financial gap, we had to come up with something to make more money, and we decided to do a few craft shows in the area. And after a few craft shows were successful, we decided to pick up a few more craft shows, and after a while we were doing 15, 20 craft shows. And that's how I got started.
Mr. Johnson, what kind of items do you make?
We make a lot of wood items that we design ourselves, and I put a lot of toll painting on them. And now that we've got it into a business here, we do a lot of custom decorating for people's homes, and then we've gone into custom framing and do a lot of framing too.
Is there one that's particularly popular?
Nothing in particular. We change our items all the time and get to know what the latest fads are, but we still sell a lot of wood items.
What do you like the least?
The one thing that bothers me the most is we spend an awful lot of hours with our business. It's not uncommon for us to come out after the supper hours and spend another 3 or 4 hours working in our work areas.
What do you like the most?
The part I like the most is being able to work with the public and also to create all the new ideas that we make and to see that people are enjoying the work that you do.
Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, thank you for talking about your business.
That's all for this week's show. Join us next time for more News 6.
Production support for award-winning News 6 has come from Whirlpool Corporation's Finley Division, working to make your life a little easier. Additional support has come from the Northwest Ohio Educational Technology Foundation and from this public television station.